Yo, this is M1sta Wyte and Legioin D Wise with the Camouflage.
Hey, what's good? Welcome to the Camouflage Crews podcast. What's happening, everybody?
How y'all feeling this evening? It's Martin Luther King Day. Hopefully everybody is somewhere with family or enriching the culture or doing some service. Definitely a day to remember where you came from and what it means to be an American in this country, and not in a negative light but in a positive way, because remember a great person, not all of the events that took place around that person. And I think that's a big part of how I see MLK Day.
Yeah, definitely. It is a day that we need to have more focus on. I think in recent years, like, we've not focused on that story as heavily. You know, when I was growing up, that was a real big deal. You know what I'm saying? And it was taught in the schools I went to. But I don't know. I ain't been to school in a while, so I don't know what they doing right now. You know?
Yeah, they trying to make sure them kids pass those tests, basically.
They trying to keep kids off their fucking phones. You know what I'm saying? Because if I had a smartphone when I was in school, I don't know, bro.
I mean, I clearly ain't gonna be getting nothing done. I mean, I already wasn't even getting anything done without smartphones.
I'd have been coordinating some serious shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Meet me out at the convenience store. We all gonna roll out.
I mean, I seen a little bit of that. I had a cell phone in high school, so I mean, I think, you know, you're a little bit older than me, so you probably didn't see that. But I did have a cell phone, so text messages and pictures and all of that was fair game. I done had the internet though, so that's always an additional threat. But I think it's just the media aspect of it, where people aren't focused on where they are. They're focused on being somewhere else.
Yeah, niggas had pagers. Motherfuckers had pagers like a motherfucker. Like, my partner used to have 2-3 pagers. Clip them all around the belt and shit, on the pockets and shit. Like, look like you selling dope like a motherfucker.
But was he slanging?
I don't think so. He might have been, but I don't think so. That nigga just had 3 pagers.
Putting side pieces.
Yeah, bro. Probably selling them hoes. I found one on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for the old reliables. Hit me on this.
Because you can flip them hoes. You know, I found a few pages on the ground and flipped them bitches, because motherfuckers, everybody wanted a pager. They wouldn't even have a battery in that bitch. They just want the pager on there.
Damn, that's G. That's some old school shit for me personally. No, I ain't never known no shit like that. By the time I got to high school, like, the closest thing you had to the pager was that Motorola 2-way joint.
Yep.
But you know, that wasn't, you know. I remember my brother, he had an actual 2-way. And that was a dope little piece with the little full keyboard on it and shit.
Yep. Man, I remember, you know, the Motorola and the Prime Code phone, the chirp shit, you know, like, it's technology is a motherfucker, man. But yeah, them pagers was hot back in the day, bro. And they had special pagers, color coordinate with your outfit and shit. Ridiculous.
Oh my God. Nah, yeah. Things were different. That's for sure.
But speaking of things being different, let's talk about all this crazy shit that's going on right now in the world, and how things seem to be changing. Maybe not for the better. Maybe we're regressing a little bit. We got 2 topics today that we're gonna be speaking on, right? We got the coolest monkey in the gang or jungle controversy with the H&M model, and we got Joe Budden dissing Eminem.
Supposedly.
And so which one of those? Well, I mean, which one you want to speak on first?
I think I want to speak on. I think we, making that segue into the young man who was put in this sweatshirt or hoodie or whatever you want to call it. But obviously, it's the text on there that's causing the controversy. And I'm from two schools of thought, right? I understand that there's money to be made in every industry, and I don't think that people have time to be polite or think about what's actually going on, and they lose touch. So in the case of H&M, they're just doing their normal or whatever, they're doing their catalog and they're rolling out these sweatshirts. But I don't think at any time they were completely focused on who they were putting the sweatshirt on. And I think that causes a problem because you have to be accountable for whatever you do. And it's a hard thing to deal with, but you can't just be like, oh, well, I didn't expect people to have such a response to it, so that's why I didn't do anything to change it. Now, I was also thinking about the other side. This is somebody's kid, so I mean, they ended up there for whatever reason. And
now, did you hear about the mother?
I heard something or other about the mom.
The mother came out and was like telling people they needed to calm down, and she was there for the shoot.
That's what I heard, and I think that's kind of where my sentiment is kind of in a different direction, where it's like, okay, if somebody who's the legal guardian is making a decision to let the child do whatever, then it's also their job to filter it, right? You can't trust a business to, do anything in your best interest or your child's best interest. And if you don't want them to be a public spectacle, then you need to be intelligible about these things or have an understanding of what the impact could be. And I mean, it's hard to say. I don't think H&M was taking a jab. But I do think this is the type of stuff that people are looking for in this era where everything has to be a problem. I don't like it. I don't want to see a young black boy with that type of, I mean, it's just whatever. It's like my mom's particular about that. She don't like put nothing with monkeys on her kids, right? Like no monkey hats, no none of that. Nothing with a monkey on it. She's not fond of that. And she's different. But
let's clarify for people who may not understand, that the monkey issue concerning this particular individual being African of descent. The term monkey, right? Like we, as people of African descent, were compared to monkeys, called monkeys, and considered subhuman, right? Like, so that's been a thing for a long time, and to be completely fair and honest about it, Europeans also referred to Asians as monkeys when they went to China and also when they went to Japan, and so it is a racist term that has been widely used for a long time in a derogatory way towards people of African descent. So the controversy here is that when you put a small black child in a hoodie that says coolest monkey in the jungle, people immediately think of that, and that's the case, and really that's the issue here, I think. And you're right, I think it may have been an issue of just complete detachment.
I mean this keeps happening, right? Like, we talk about white people using the N-word or at least getting caught, or high profile cases of it, right? Not saying that we didn't suspect that white people use the N-word, whether it's ER or A, right? We knew it was happening. I heard it before, just not in high frequency, but the high profile side of it is changing the way people perceive it. And there's always been a certain, I think there's been some movement to tear down PC, right? And PC was pretty much created by the liberals, right? Like, I mean, if you're a liberal, you kind of have to take, it's created by the liberals but perpetuated by the conservatives, right? Because the conservatives are the one that technically have to hold back because their views aren't accepted, and they want to, at certain points, right, they support slavery, obviously. So we look at conservatives in that way, and for the most part it's odd, but shit flipped a long time ago. But that's exactly what it is. Like, as simple as that. People are like, okay, well, we get to a point where it's taboo to call a black person this or that, or a white person or any minority. And then we get into this world where people just don't say how they feel because they're scared of being prosecuted. But now we're getting in this era where people are getting more comfortable with themselves, and they're outing themselves because they don't believe in PC. They don't want to, you know what I'm saying? And for people who don't know what PC is, that's politically correct. So it's like, we lived in an era of that probably for 20, 25 years where people just kind of didn't say how they felt. And I think
and we had a presidential candidate that to tie into what you were saying, that came out and attacked liberals, right? And so liberals primarily do take a politically correct stance on most things, and they support
because we actually
gays and things like that. And so it's like,
but we actually support it, right? Politically correct is basically saying the right thing in a situation where maybe you wouldn't. Like, if somebody stepped on your foot in a club, right? Being politically correct would be like, hey, watch, not watch where you're going, but you know what I'm saying? Just kind of, give them the brush off, look at them, you know what I'm saying? Y'all apologize or whatever and move about your day. Being non-political correct is almost like keeping it real, in my opinion. And basically saying,
to an extent, but you had a whole movement of people who were attacking the idea of liberal PC rhetoric.
Yeah.
And this went on for about 2 years, you know what I'm saying, leading up to the election and everything. And so I do feel like there is this get over it type of mentality out there, and definitely a disconnect from the impact of the terminology and the slang.
Like anything that maybe 50 years ago would have been harsh is kind of softened, right, with the whole globalization plus, because the globalization makes weird things happen because it creates this split in terms of what people see from our society and what actually is going on. And I think people emulate what they see media-wise from our society, but they don't actually know what's going on. So think about what people would actually think about the black culture from a media perspective. And that's all you got.
Not looking too good, man. We got Kanye, Cat Williams.
Mostly it's just football and baseball and basketball players. That's the only people really know. Entertainers. But nobody is familiar with all of these, whatever high-level doctors and scientists and lawyers who represent African American or minority communities, right? But I think in general, anybody tied to the hip-hop culture, they're making all of those people look insane for the most part. Like, they look at that and they're like, these people are like reckless abandon. They don't. That's why foreign people come over here. I was dealing with my coworker from Bulgaria, and he was actually for profiling. and it frustrated me, you know, because he's pretty liberal, and I just didn't understand, you know, his position was, well, what if somebody's standing outside my kid's school and all of that? And I was like, well, you profile them because they're standing outside of a school and they ain't supposed to be there, not because they black. And I was like, I think you got a misunderstanding of profiling. I think profiling has to exist. It's racial profiling. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because he seen a black dude jogging down the street. He made a joke. It was like, you know. And I understood. He was like, you know, what are the police gonna think when they see him? And I was like, well, I would hope they gonna think that he's just going for a jog and he got his earbuds in and he's working out. But
that's terribly racist, man.
What?
That is a terribly racist joke right there. That is devastatingly racist. What was he wearing? A hoodie and a ski mask? What was the deal? Nah.
It was just on some side jab shit. He's a Jew though. You know, those Jewish people, they get friendly too.
Oh,
you know?
No.
Yeah, the Jews are dangerous, man. Like they ain't, you know, they don't care about nobody else's pain.
Wow. Okay.
But,
wait a minute.
But me and him cool, right? Like I ain't got no beef with him like that. Where it's like it didn't hurt my feelings for real, but it did let me understand like he's not as liberal as he thinks, right? I mean, it's just like everybody. We are moderates for the most part, but people start choosing sides depending on the situation, you know, and that's because our system is.
I also would like to point out. I don't mean to cut you off. I also would like to point out that comedy has changed, right? Because what was acceptable in the 90s, the Def Comedy Jams, the white people do this, black people do this style of comedy, that's changed over time. You know what I'm saying? To where that's really like not even acceptable anymore. And because so many people did it for so long, it became cliche. But also now things are becoming so PC and it's becoming so dangerous to say certain things, to talk about certain groups of people, that's not even acceptable anymore. And those comics change their comedy. Like if you watch a Chris Rock stand-up from back in the day, you watch Chris Rock stand-up now, or Dave Chappelle, whatever, it's very different. You know what I mean? And some comedians still push the boundaries, but you notice a lot of comedians that keep it real like that, stuff starts happening to them, right? Like
I think that comedy, like you say, it got stale. I mean, and I think, you know, we talk about globalization. That just means that people tend to do about the same thing across the board, right? Like it doesn't matter where you go, white, black, Asian, other people do the same thing, you know. And so I think it's bad to stick our heads in the sand in moments like this. I think it's bad to blow it out of proportion, but I think it shows that people aren't paying attention anymore. They don't care, because this could have been easily avoided from both sides, from the parental side or from the business side. And now it's just like people are like, whatever. And I'm not gonna fight battles that people don't want to fight. I think as a culture we get caught up in that. Like, it doesn't matter what movement you ride with. You should first look out for yourself and your family, and then after that have real discussions about things, and don't just hop on bandwagons because this black person or this white person or whoever tell you to do something. Like, people need to start thinking for themselves, and that's a big part of it.
I definitely think it's important to, regardless of what the mother says about it, because just because the mother okay it doesn't necessarily make it okay. Yeah, it's cool that they didn't just to have this child and manipulate this child and put that on them and nobody knew, but at the same time it's still offensive. And I think pointing out the fact, at the very least, pointing out the fact that, hey, that's a little racist, is gonna help people. Like, if you didn't know before, now you do. You know what I mean?
I think it's racial. It's racially charged. Do I think that it's like pure racism? No, but I do think that it shows that people don't care. I don't think it matters about race at all. Like, they would put a fucking Italian kid in a pepperoni pizza shirt. Like, they don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that sometimes they do that shit on purpose sometimes, man. Like, it more than they used to. Like, I think they push the envelope too far, because I think that's what this is doing, right? Like, you're like, even if you aren't exactly sure about the origins of the word monkey and this black kid, it's like, when you put it on them and you send them out there in a photo shoot, I don't think they thought twice, though. And that just means that, yes, people aren't connected to these meanings and the connotation of things. It's all about what's gonna sell, right? You know, people like monkeys. White people like monkeys. Black people like monkeys. Asian people like monkeys. I mean,
I suppose.
I mean, people go to the zoo and they tend to like the monkeys. They like, oh, look at the little monkeys. Michael Jackson liked monkeys. You know?
He did.
I mean, monkeys are cool, right? Like, you know, from a science perspective.
In a way, they're cool. Yeah, no, I can't argue with none of your points.
But do I want to be a cool monkey? No. I don't want to personally be a cool monkey, but some people think it's cool to be a monkey, and by all means, they should be allowed to make that decision. But I think the parents should have made a call on this. You got to be a parent that's concerned about these type of things. Maybe she's not in a place to be concerned about this. Maybe she's beyond the barriers of what she would consider racist, right? Like, she doesn't feel it anymore because she's good. She getting that check.
Fuck that.
I'm sure. I hope he got paid for this.
The whole world was like, hey.
He got paid for this though, right? This shit? How much did he get paid? I want to know.
I'm not sure.
Somebody find out and comment below. How much did the little kid get paid for doing the H&M?
Let me just try to look this up here real quick.
That would be very important to know, right? Like, is this like $200? Is this like $2,000?
I would hope
$10,000.
He's getting the big bucks, jungle bucks, if you will, because otherwise, H&M. Oh Lord, it's coming up. H&M monkey skirt, H&M monkey dress. I don't know. Hold up. I'm gonna have to refine my search. And oh man, I can't type. H&M monkey salary. Okay, that's got to pull up something. Okay, so I'm not necessarily seeing anything about the actual salary, but I'm seeing that they lost a little bit of money.
I see an article, right, and it says rates vary, but some kids earn between $65 and $75 an hour.
Okay. So what's the
average? And if it was like an all-day 8-hour shoot, you know, because shoots take a long time, you know, set up and all that. Let's say it was just 4 hours though. So he making, let's say $100 an hour or something like that. I mean, that ain't bad.
I don't feel like that's Jungle Bucks, fam.
For like a 6-year-old kid.
I don't feel like that's Coolest Monkey in the Jungle money, bro. Like, for me to just be like, I'm cool with being the coolest monkey in the jungle for the rest of my life. Because I'm just briefly doing the math in my head, right? I'm no calculator. But seem like that's only a few, maybe some 1,000 or so. Like, it's not even, we're not talking about thousands of dollars.
Not necessarily. We don't know though. We don't know exactly how much it hit him for. I would say that it's just a situation where I think, you know, we want to do better, but we forget about the past so easily, and media makes it easier because when you got something coming in every 6 seconds, it replaces those old thoughts, and people don't get time to reflect. It's just go, 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 go. So it's on. I don't know. This is not at the top of my list of things to be concerned about. I don't like it, and hopefully, you know, they issued an apology and all of that. Hopefully, they get whatever happens when you do stuff like this. They'll figure it out.
This points to a bigger issue. Something that we're dealing with in society, but also in hip hop, which people get too comfortable. You are exploitive, maybe not knowingly or knowingly, who knows? But it's an issue, and if we don't start saying it's an issue, right? Like, we don't tell people that we onto them, motherfuckers will run away with everything. We'll wake up and they will have sold the world to somebody out from under our noses. And
I mean, we are already pretty much at that point though, like in reality, in terms of like how the debt works between the nations. You know, let's not get into the whole war games thing, but I do believe that it's exactly what we expected to see after the kind of savage culture took over for hip hop. You know, we went away from kind of a I'm hustling to get by, doing my thing. I ain't really trying to cause no problems, to a very dark, you know, I don't see any hope for the future type of mentality. But as we've seen, I don't think that can last. I think people want to have hope. People want to see the greater good, and I think that's what.
It's up to us, man. It's up to us, me and you and Camouflage Crews, to bring the truth to the motherfucking world.
Absolutely.
I said that.
Yeah, no, I'm with that, man. I'm with that. I don't have any problems trying to put the best information possible out there. Maybe people learn a little bit, but maybe people just also get the ability to start looking at life from different angles, because that's where you're going to get the most success in anything. If you're only looking at something from one side, then you don't really know how it works. You got to break it down to its simplest form. You got to work your way back up. You know, I dealt with this, you know, in production a lot. At first, I was so focused on making a hot beat, but I had no idea about how to, you know, create drums or play a melody with any type of instrument, or what sounds even sound together, or why it needed to be in key. You don't know that stuff. You just, oh, this sounds hot. And eventually you realize it's not really that hot, because there are certain things that are important to make sure that you get certain elements across so that you can have something that actually is good. And without going through and learning each part and getting better at everything, you don't really get the understanding of the larger idea. You're only somebody on the outside looking in. And I think that's the same thing with minority cultures. You can't know what they go through or how they feel or what makes them until you're in the trenches with them. Now, that's great, right? Like, you can still grow up poor, but my friend said it best. He was like, we could grow up right next to each other. Our parents make the same money, work at the same place, we go to the same school, and A, I'll never be you because we're different people, and B, I'll never be black. You know, and I was like, that's some real shit. I mean, that's what it comes down to in these types of situations. Like, they'll never be black, so they'll never understand, and they only seek to understand because it makes them feel better about what happened before they had a chance to have a say. You know, because will white people or people in power in any place in the world give up that power just to help out the people they oppress potentially? No, I doubt it. They might feel bad all day, but they're not gonna give up their seat. You know, so that's just what that comes down to. They're not gonna start caring more just because we're up in arms about it. We have to be more strategic, and we have to come back and actually use our resources to develop what we have. And without doing that, you know, in some way, shape, or form, we're not gonna get to any ultimate goals or have any real resources.
This is true. This is true. Like you said, I believe it is an issue with the parent. Like, if the parent could have gave a shit, right? Like, she probably should have given a shit, just because it may not impact her. Like, she may not care, but overall, now this has become a symbol, right, that has affected a lot of people, right, who do deal with racism, have dealt with racism, understand the connotation there, and the lack of the sort of the ignorance to that is the problem, right? Because she could have stopped all of this from occurring, had she just been like, hey, if I put my son in no goddamn monkey hoodie, you got a million motherfucking hoodies over here, put my son in another hoodie. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You
I
know?
think yeah, without a question. But
so
go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, so I mean, we just need to I feel like it's important that we call this shit out. The problem now is that so many people have a voice, right? Everybody has a voice. Everybody can say something. And everybody has equal potential for that shit to get trending worldwide, right? Like, we gotta be careful. We gotta be super on point with what we're taking a stance on. Because we can't take a stance on some bullshit 1 minute and then take a hard stance on some serious shit, because people are gonna call us on that, because we got spin doctors out here. We got motherfuckers that's lying to us, that want us to believe a certain thing, you know, and
the
they don't
narrative
want
is
us
being
to be
rewritten
informed
all the time.
So I definitely believe it's important for us to know what are the real issues, you know, and know what to really take a stand on, and what to let go, you know.
Yeah.
And that is all I have to say about that.
That's what's up, man. It's a big deal, you know. I'm gonna say that. You know, if nobody else hears anything else about the conversation, it's a big deal when you put a young black boy in a hoodie with words on it that aren't anything but positive, and the connotation of it is bad, so it's not positive. And hopefully people, vendors, whoever can get this right and not portray people in any cliche form, especially kids, or any way that's gonna make people feel like you're being insensitive, do some research.
Do not allow the machine to normalize racism. Okay, because that is the grand design, that is the grand scheme, to normalize the thing that you want to use to oppress or subjugate a certain group of people. It's textbook strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, on, I guess a lighter note, we're gonna move on to some hip hop discussion here. Big in the news right now, Eminem just released a remix to his track Chloroseptic, and that track is featuring 2 Chainz. We heard 2 Chainz was going to be on the original version. He didn't make the album cut, and I think it also features an extended verse from Fresher. So you got 2 Chainz, Fresher, and then you got M. Everybody loves M. He has bars. We didn't really get a ton of those classic M bars on the last project with Revival. He did more heartfelt pop tracks. And, that's where M is right now. He doesn't necessarily feel like he needs to. I think, we talked about, we feel like he needs to do this, but I think he feels like he doesn't need to do anything that we, as the fan base care about. And that's fine. You can go either way. When you got the money and the success, you can do it for the culture and, go back and highlight great parts of the game, or you could just go make an album for yourself and go try to sell some records. It's his decision to do that, and I think that's what he did with his project. I think the Chloroseptic remix is basically him just reminding people that he can rap when he wants to, and he can make a hot track when he wants to, but he's gonna focus on his other musical exploits and not just rapping. He wants to make hits, and I think that's what he was reaching for with these songs that he's made on that project. He had a couple songs that were reminiscent of old projects, and they seemed like they were kind of put on there at the last moment, just to kind of round out the project. But I felt like he could have just took out any track that was like him actually rapping, and the concept of the album would have been perfect, right? Because it would have just been him doing all these pop records. And I don't even think he needed to really even do any rap records on there. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like he was jumping around too much. And most of the project was kind of like mellowy and rockish and very pop song. So I don't know. Like it seemed like he was trying to do too much. Like when he could have obviously easily just dropped a 10-track boom bap album and just killed the game. He tried and attempted to do something that was much harder for him to accomplish. I don't think the results have been great in terms of the general response, but I don't think it's gonna hurt him. I think the Chloroseptic remix is just him showing that he can do what he wants to do, and he hasn't lost a step with the rap. He just focused on trying to make hits, I guess. I don't know. I mean, and supposedly in this remix, he disses Joe Budden. I think the general diss was just talking about anybody who's in the commentary review business. So that could be us, that could be anybody else with a podcast talking about music. I think it was somewhat targeted at Joe because he was the biggest entity in the spotlight. So I don't know.
I feel like it was definitely about Joe Budden. Like he definitely referenced some clear things that referenced Joe Budden specifically. Like he folded his arms and was sitting there talking about it and said that Walk on Water sucks. Like that was Joe Budden. And it's crazy to me that we even at this stage of the game, because I feel two ways about this. I feel like, first and foremost, Joe Budden, if he felt like he didn't feel that shit, should have been allowed to say it. And because he was on the show, they required him to talk about shit like that. I think he should have been cool to say it. And it seems like you were a little salty that he wasn't feeling your shit. And you know, another thing that I feel about it as well is that, well, maybe Joe Budden, you know that you fuck with Eminem. Maybe
Okay,
you should just say
I'm gonna
you
cut you
don't
off
even
right there.
I don't know.
All right, check me out. Joe Budden said a couple of conflicting things. He said, one of the things I remember, he said Eminem used to come in Hollywood style. So like they would be recorded for Slaughterhouse. Because you gotta think about it, Joe Budden probably knew Eminem before Slaughterhouse, but he wasn't working with M. He's M senior technically. He was in the game before M, right? So look at it like this. By the time he started working with Eminem, Eminem's already super big in the game, right? So he's putting on this group of people and he's featuring, but he wasn't never, Joe made it sound like on Complex that he wasn't really like, he knew him, he talked to him, he felt him, but that wasn't like his number one homie from back in the day, right? And that was interesting. And then he also commented where he said he had talked to Eminem in 4 years. I mean,
right.
That's a little, and you on somebody's label, like I'm on your label, right? You know, we got Against the Grain, Camouflage Crew. If I don't talk to you in 4 years, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I probably ain't gonna have the same respect for you as I would have 4 years ago, especially considering the past 4 years, Eminem ain't necessarily dropped the best music that he's done in his career. Like, he's had some hits here and there, but most people will agree that lyrically, a lot of his best stuff was early on in his career. So I think Joe Budden, and also this dude is from New Jersey. He from the East Coast. So you gotta understand, I think what happened is he ain't catching no big bag from him, right? Like, he ain't catching a big enough bag to be on gag order. And so I think he basically was just like, he been a beefing MC his whole career. I think he could take him, to be honest. I think he thinks as a lyricist, he could take any other lyricist.
I wouldn't doubt that Joe Budden believes that he would have a chance to take on Eminem. But I can say a few years ago, me and the homie from New York, Victory, the ex-Supreme Promoter, interviewed Bizarre, D12.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't at the time really fucking with Eminem. When we asked him about Eminem, he was not really, he didn't really have an answer as far as what Eminem was doing. He didn't really know.
Yeah.
And they hadn't done nothing with D12 in a while. And so there is a detachment there. At some point, Eminem went somewhere.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think that's didn't D12 and Bizarre write some diss records against him? I mean, I know he recently came out and talked to diss Joe Budden, but I think that's just the game that's being played right now. Like,
D12 did a song with Cannabis dissing Eminem, yeah.
So I think at that point, whatever Bizarre came out and said to Joe Budden, that's a moot point or whatever. I think it's a publicity reach and just a credibility reach. He's from Detroit, so he probably just, I ain't got, shut up East Coast guy type situation where I think Joe Budden just flat out doesn't care. He's dissed Jay-Z, he's dissed a numerous amount of other popular artists, Drake or whatever. I don't think he cares or is afraid of Eminem. He seemed pretty upset about the Untouchable track where he felt like M was reaching to try to sell a record based on racial, tensions in America, but not doing it from a heartfelt place, like kind of doing it and I didn't like the track either. I didn't feel that harshly, but he said that, and I don't think a man would just say something like that unless he actually felt like he was like, you know, like he knows Eminem, and then he like, this record sounds like some cheesy ass white people shit, and then he like, what the fuck they got you over here doing now? And he seemed really upset about everything, because I felt like as an MC, he's probably had to defend Eminem and the music that he's made, right? Oh, that's your homie, ain't it? That's your dude, you signed to him. And he ain't been making like the most urban friendly music. His shit's been getting real, you know, white collar. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't hating on him as an artist. Like, he's an amazing artist. Like, but does Joe Budden have a point? Yes, because M is not black. So for him to speak on black issues, he kind of got to get the pass from the squad first. And I don't think he got the pass, right? Because it seemed like Joe Budden was like, well, M, you could have asked me if this was going, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm right here type. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't talked to me in 4 fucking years. I'm right here. If you need to know what the game needs, you could have hit me up and let me listen to your project before you release this fucking shit in the track list. He's basically like, how come you not using no input from the black community on how to make this a good song and make it more impactful? And I think that's a valid point. I think people were mad that he went so hard, but I think he's a true hip-hop head. He's from the East Coast, and because of that makes him 10 times more prideful. Any hip-hop head from the East Coast, they gonna body you if you walk outside the lines. That's just how they do it.
I think this was coming from a place of not like, oh, I can't stand this dude, I'm hating. It came from a place of, I love this dude's music and this is fucking me up. And I felt like that with Bone Thugs and Harmony, bro. Okay. Like I was a huge Bone Thugs and Harmony fan, like die hard back when they dropped East 1999, Creeping on the Come Up. But then they started dropping other shit. Bro, and then they made that song with Phil Collins, bro. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's the same with Eminem. Like same deal, man. Like Eminem making songs with Beyonce and fucking Alicia Keys, Bone Thugs making songs with Phil Collins and shit. Like it's the same shit, man. And it was devastating to me, and I was angry. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, just do some regular shit. Just do the shit that made you hot, you know?
But he doesn't want to do that because as an artiste, he doesn't want to do the same thing over again. He can't go back to the old Eminem because that's, you know, and I don't know. I think obviously people have said he was looking for something to charge him up, and maybe this Joe Budden situation will charge him up. But I think this is just another victory for Joe Budden because he's getting a bigger artist to take shots at him, and he's staying relevant. He's fucking sticky in the game. Like this dude's, he is a great heel. He's like the freaking Kane. Everybody loves.
Joe Budden has had 3 different incarnations because he first popped up and he had that track with Busta Rhymes. That was when he first came out. Yeah. And then he had the resurgence with Slaughterhouse. Mm-hmm. And then he popped back up on the podcast and on Complex on Everyday Struggle. And then now he's still being talked about.
Supposedly he about to get that bag with Diddy. And if he get that bag with Diddy, it's over with. Like people ain't he's never gonna go away. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's a savvy dude, whatever that means. You know, in terms of his general media profession, he knows what the fuck to do, and he's not afraid to take risk. And being in the social media era, you can get popular by what most people 15, 20 years ago would have considered a bad decision because you got a platform. So because Joe Budden had a platform and said something controversial, that made him more popular. And that's sometimes all it takes. You gotta, I think it was a calculated risk though, because come on now. I mean, did you listen to the Eminem project yet?
I still have not. I need to sit down.
That must be how bad it is, Legion, because
it is. Well, I mean, I've heard so much, and he's not on my radar. Look, this is why he's not on my radar.
Not on your radar.
I was a huge Eminem fan.
Okay.
I felt like when he came out, he changed lyricism in hip hop, right? Like there was a higher bar there set for metaphor, storytelling, wordplay, alliteration, everything across the board, right? And he was known for that, and he was doing that, and he was doing different variations of that and different styles of that, but that's what he was doing, okay? And then at some point he went left and he started White America and all of that type of shit, you know, and then You're Just Really Jealous of Me and all these weird ass songs. And I bought those albums, bro. Like, I went and spent money on those albums, and after about the third one, I can't do it no more. Like, I gotta let you go.
Please forgive me, for I know not what I do.
Yeah, bro, that shit.
Hey,
yeah,
Eminem.
Predominantly.
No, Eminem, I will credit him with that Encore album. He is the first serious rapper to drop a serious parody album. Because that is exactly what Encore was. And it had that one real, like a couple real tracks on it. It had that Toy Soldier. It was so funny because that was the album with Toy Soldiers on it. And that was such a serious, real ass record from him. But that's like, to me, okay, like when you talk about like pop kind of crossover type records, Toy Soldiers it kind of had that rocky, you know, vibe to it, like in terms of rock and roll. Isn't that the album that had the other rock and roll sample on there? Maybe, but that one had the epic. Maybe, but I don't know. It's possible, but I'm just saying he did good on those tracks because those tracks were produced very well. Let's start there. Several of the rock tracks he had on this other album were whatever, but those tracks are good, and he actually just rapped. He just fucking got on the drums and just stayed on them with line after line after line with no breaks. And he just laid it all out. And after you were done listening to the track, you had to listen to it like 4 or 5 more times to even understand what the hell he was talking about. But that was what was amazing about it. This new stuff is like, I can't listen to this more than 1 or 2 times. It's so out there and right in your face. It's not even, I don't think it's just not as deep anymore. And I think that's where the pop aspect doesn't benefit him. Like, he needs some soul beats or something to trigger him to get some real, like, I don't know. I mean, we've all talked about how repetitive he is in terms of topics, but his skill is above where I think Joe Budden believes he put himself out there, and that's why he called him out. The reception of the project isn't that great, so maybe Joe Budden is right. People are mad.
I'm just thinking about some of Eminem's coldest lines, like, my mind don't work if my spine don't jerk. Slap Garth Brooks out of his rhinestone shirt. I'm not a player, just an ill rhyme sayer that'll spray an aerosol can up at the ozone layer. That is where Eminem was like amazing, right? Like, that's why people fucked with Eminem.
Yeah.
He does not do that in any way, shape, or form. Like,
he said, I walked in a chicken heart cartoon with a leg on and beat up foghorn leghorn with an acorn.
Acorn, like, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and you don't, he raps faster now, which does take skill in its own right. But the intricacies of what he was doing that fascinated people with him are missing from that style.
I just don't hear any fun in what he's doing anymore. It sounds so serious. Like, just, I think that's why people keep using the word dad rap. I'm serious, but I'm serious like on some political shit. Like, Eminem's not on that political shit like that. Like, I didn't hear not one like detailed conspiracy theory political song outside of the one where he was the Untouchable song where it was about the black boys. Other than that, he didn't touch on, I don't know, he just didn't do like no fucking Roots level or Immortal Technique style or RZA Wu-Tang style, you know, breakdown of social injustice. He just didn't really do it.
This is what I think happened. I would dare say Eminem is pressed by the record label to this got to hit. Like he can't fail, and so there's no risk taking, right? There's no Jay-Z 420 style minimalist back to my roots.
But is that really a risk? I can't imagine Eminem's under pressure, except maybe he does want to sell more. And if that's a pressure that he's putting on, because I can't imagine he hasn't fulfilled whatever legal deal obligations he has, right? So I think he could drop whatever type of record he wants, but I think he wants to sell more every time or overall. So it does put him in a position where he's not gonna be able to just go straight from pure creativity. But I don't know, man. When you got Kendrick Lamar dropping projects like To Pimp a Butterfly or whatever, it's like you could take some risk right now. Like, music is in a real open form. I don't think you have to.
I definitely feel like if he did it, people would have fucked with it. But I think he's fucking with a real bougie label.
Maybe like, he's just psyching us out, man. I think he's just like he's
finna hit us with another project that's all raw shit.
Yeah,
like he gonna be on the front of the next cover of the album with a chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm back, bitches. But see, then we would all be like, see, and another thing is, you know, we hard on motherfuckers, right? Like, so if he came back with some hard shit like that, we'd be like, oh, you just doing that.
No, I think if it was hard enough, it was like Jay-Z. We talked about this. He had a real comeback. After Kingdom Come, I was worried. That album was pretty trash, right? In terms of, it was super commercial and pop. It had the fucking song that was in the Budweiser commercial, so it was too far. But he redeemed himself and came back and had several other great projects, including the one that he just released with 444. So I think it's just, M's been in the game for a while. I think he should take note. He should go back to the lab and continue to do what he's been doing, which is probably write feverishly and just make some more music and, you know, try again next time. He's the type of artist that he could drop again in 6 months and still have a hit record, right? And I think, not saying he has to drop in 6 months, but I don't think he has as much time to sit on this album like he did with the Marshall Mathers LP 2. Because people were kind of like letting, you know, they were letting him chill on that one. They were like, okay, this is good enough. You know, you rapped technically out of the fucking world on that project. But this project kind of like shortens that timeline because people are going to be fucking hungry for some new M. Especially with this remix. You really just, you know, I mean, he got a shit ton of work. I imagine he could drop a project whenever the fuck he feels like. But he's a perfectionist, similar to Dre. So I imagine he can't just let go and just drop some. He could drop a fucking mixtape of some fucking old shit, or he could drop a whole album of some shit he recorded back maybe 7 years ago and probably still sell records. So I don't know. He got so much power. I think once again, Joe Budden gets the W because he's getting artists who have more clout than him to call him out. So I heard M has a second diss record lined up, but you know that's hearsay. Till I see that shit drop and he like calls Joe Budden out by name, I don't think it's on fire yet. I like to see a lyrical battle though. Like I haven't seen a lyrical battle like that.
You know that this is not from a place of malice. Excuse me. You know this is not from a place of malice with Joe Budden because he hasn't necessarily dropped no diss record, right? Like this ain't no Cameron and Mace issue where it's like, oh, these cats didn't like each other to begin with. Type. I
don't even think M. I feel like M cooked that shit up after he heard what Joe was saying, right? Like it was some after the fact type
no
shit.
Argument
like,
over the choice
M
between
got
peace and
like
war,
Joe got passionate, M got upset. He was like, "Fuck that! I'm finna eat through this motherfucker right now." Went in the booth, dropped that shit, released a remix. Like, hey, we got a remix with 2 Chainz on it, and then everybody was like, "Oh my god!" And then I mean, I don't think it's targeted enough. Right, and I think that unless M drops another like actual direct diss, it's not a battle just yet. It's like a, you know, he taking some jabs. I mean, Joe Budden took a jab or 2, right? He called M out for not being in tune with what he says he's been in tune with from day one. And he basically like, you losing touch, and that could be true. And from listening to this project, it was a lot of things on there that just hint at Eminem not really caring about what's going on and being trapped in the bubble of his own success. And it happens to a lot of people.
And not to say he's not capable of doing that, or he's obviously capable because he went pretty hard on the Chloroseptic. Even though I have my own issues with that remix, like I feel like the other 2 don't rap nowhere near the same. Like, yeah, he does kind of mess with that style, but he's rapping his same fast Eminem style, and they just rapping regular, almost like they didn't even hear him before he got on the track, you know. And I don't know, but Eminem is very capable, and when I speak on this, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, we coming from a place where we fans of Eminem, like the real Eminem, the actual Eminem. And don't let me get into these conspiracy theories about Eminem being replaced by another dude. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about that, but people believe that maybe Eminem has been replaced by a doppelganger.
Some like, Gucci Man shit, yeah.
Yeah, and you look at Eminem looking like Everlast right now. I think he
is on some born again Christian type shit, and I don't blame him because he almost killed himself. So I mean, that's what happens when you face death so many times. I think he just finally is getting his life together, and I respect him for that, right? Like, it's good that Eminem is not gonna, kill over and die tomorrow. Like, he should, he should do whatever he can to prolong his career. Maybe this just wasn't the right project for him. Try again next time, man. It wasn't for me. That's what I'm saying. Like, for real though.
Now, in the context of musicality, from going off Walk on Water, right? Like, I don't like Walk on Water because there's no beat. It makes you think the beat's gonna drop, and the beat never drops. It's not even that it's not no beat in it. It's that it makes it feel like the beat's gonna drop, like as though there was a beat and then somebody was like, take the beat out. And it's like, are you sure? And it's like, take it out. And it's like, but this piano is scaling up towards the drop of the beat. No, man, just take it out. You know what I mean? And just through the whole song, yes. the whole shit, and we just gonna leave it like that. Yes, you know what I'm saying? And then they put that shit out, you know, and so it's interesting decisions. Interesting decisions.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, hopefully one day I can get a fraction of the success Eminem has. Much respect to him as an MC. Obviously, if Eminem reached out to me today and was like, get on my track, I wouldn't care if Pink, Ed Sheeran, Beyonce, and Alicia Keys was on there as well at the same time. Let's do this. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't say Joe Budden was in the wrong. I think people do need checks and balances, no matter who they are. So, you know, if your homie's calling you out for doing some whack shit, then you need to accept that so that you can get better. That's it.
I agree, man.
Did you have anything else you want to put in on the Eminem subject?
I don't think so. I do want to say like and subscribe.
Yes, please.
To our channel and like this video.
And
shout out on the beats today. We got the beats going.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of used. I'm going back to some of the producers we used before. I had Kid Prescott. He hit me up. He was like, send me like 3 or 4 remixes. If you listen and just send me beats. I can't do nothing with remixes. I'm really trying to just promote instrumentals for people, or just something without words in it.
Well, that way the words don't clash with our vocals in the podcast, because we're talking. So if there's vocals in the music, it's gonna clash with what we're saying.
But for the other people that played, because shout out to Kid Prescott, like he was really excited about this. He's been showing support, so I really appreciate you, man. And then we got Ambi Lit, Ricky Roma, Heart Attack, some of our favorites. Then we got Cairo, and then we had Smooth Jack DeLuca, and you know, appreciate all of y'all, man. Y'all got some real good music. Like, hopefully. What'll happen is, I think we mentioned that we're trying to do a mixtape over the beats, and try to like do something fire too, not just like us rapping 16s with some lackluster choruses, but going all the way in and making some full productions and hopefully giving something that y'all can showcase to other people so y'all can sell more beats. So we understand how important it is for when you give a track to somebody, you want them to eat that track, not just, you know, rap over it blandly and throw it out there and be like, hey, look at me. So I mean, we definitely gonna try to do something. We gonna, you know, hit us up if you're a producer on SoundCloud. Links are below. Follow us on platforms. All the links are below. Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, of course, Facebook. And y'all have a good evening.
Peace.
Later.